vision board. This was my vision board in 2021. I wanted to read my Bible more. I wanted to buy more stocks on the Zimbabwe Stock Exchange. By the way, guys, you can buy stocks on the Zim Stock Exchange for as little as $5 worth, and they multiply. That's one way you can actually make money. So you have no excuse. You just need a Zim bank account and RTGS worth about $5 or $10, and you can start buying shares and making extra money. I've started doing this myself. I encourage you to do it as well. Some of my other goals were fitness related. I wanted to get a promotion. I wanted to go on a vacation. And some of these happened. And I'm so grateful to God for blessing me with these. But I always have to remind myself to commit my ways to the Lord, because only He establishes our steps. You can make a plan and it might not work out. So make a plan knowing that you're submitting your plans to God and it's His will, whether it will happen or not. I don't want you to make plans and cut them in stone such that when they don't happen, your whole world is crushed. So make your plans, but remember, man may make his plans, but it is the Lord who establishes our steps. Okay. Moving on. I just want to leave you with some tips and tricks from my journey that I've learned, and I'd like you to implement some of these in your life. Whatever you do, do it well. Be the person who people can rely on, even if they ask you for something as small as, can you make me a cup of tea? Make the best cup of tea and leave an impression. Whatever you do, do it well. You'll find even when you start looking for jobs, you might not get a job you want. Like me, I started off filing, but I would file to the best of my ability and I would do it well. And that's how I then got my next job. So whatever you do, do it well. Secondly, find what you love. Don't get into a career just for the money. Don't get into a career just for the fame. Do something that you actually love. And yes, like I said, you can start off by getting a job that's not in line with what you like, but use that as a stepping stone to then do what you want. Look for people who represent the you would like to be. When I wrote my goal down of saying I want to be Zimbabwe's first female data scientist, I started benchmarking my skills against data scientists globally across the world so that I could really call myself a data scientist based on what they do. I started following them on LinkedIn and seeing how do they present themselves? What skills do they know? What books do they read? And some of these people, you don't even have to meet them in person. Find them online and look at their lives and try and see what you can take from them, since you want to do what they're doing one day. So look for people who represent the you that you would like to be and emulate some of the things that they do. Fourthly, success is the sum of small efforts repeated daily. Success doesn't come easy. Success doesn't come overnight. There's work that goes behind the scenes. You have to be willing to do that work. When I applied to go to Silicon Valley, like I told you, I started in 2012. Imagine, 2012, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. I only went in 2022. But each year, I would apply for that program. I would redo my application. I put in the work. So sometimes when you feel overwhelmed by a goal, cut it into small little chunks and do a little bit every day, or a little bit every week, or a little bit every month. Those efforts then amount to your big success. Start with the basics. Don't just say, I want to be a businessman, a big businessman who owns a big company like Apple, when you can't even sell a sweet to your friend. So start with the basics. Start with what you have, where you are. If you want to be a businessman, can you sell something small right now? Also network and reach out to people. Networks are so important, and I've seen this in my life. The more you reach out to people, the more they know you. When opportunities come about, they'll think of you. But also it should be a two-way thing. What can you offer them as well? So network, don't be afraid to reach out to people. Take people for coffee. Find a mentor, someone who you look up to and say, can I take you for 30 minutes of coffee? I just want to pick your brain and I just want to get your advice. Most of the time, they won't say no, especially if you make it short. 15 minutes, 30 minutes, most of the time they'll be willing to meet with you. Be a problem solver. What problem are you solving? Like I said, you don't have to get your dream job, but in the first job you get, make sure you are solving a problem. Find people you can mentor and teach. Yes, you are young, but remember you are young and dynamic. So there's always someone below you who doesn't know what you know. Find people to teach. The more you teach, and this is what I do, the more I teach people, the more I remember and the more I become an expert at my job. Sometimes we want to keep knowledge to ourselves or we want to pass by ourselves, but the more you teach others, you're actually becoming an expert yourself. Then the next, it's okay not to know what career you want. You don't have to have it all figured out, but start answering those questions we went over and start seeing what career might fit for you. Also, the internet is your friend. A lot of what I do, I first Google it. I look on Google, I look on YouTube. By the time I do something, people say, wow, you're amazing. And it's something I just saw on the internet. So don't shy away from the internet. Try things out. You're allowed to fail. The more you fail, the more you'll succeed. People who succeed are people who have failed many times before. Copy and paste what is working elsewhere. If you find a friend has a business, let's say in Kwekwe, and it's working, and you've never seen that in your school or in Harare, you can just copy and paste. And that way you're cutting your work in half. You're already taking a model that exists, something that's working elsewhere, and bringing it to your community. That's what I've done. I've seen what others are doing in the data space, and I just copy and paste and bring it to Zimbabwe. And when I do it here, people say, wow, she's amazing, but it's something I just copied and pasted. Collaborate. If there's something you want to do, find someone who's got a strength that you don't have. Work together with your friends, work together with like-minded people. Measure your impact. How do you know that you're making an impact? I remember when I started working for Econet, I started an Excel sheet where I would write down every time I solved a company problem because I needed to know that I was making an impact and I was receiving a salary for a reason. So measure your impact, see what impact you're making. And if you're not making impact, begin to make changes. Do what comes naturally to you. So when you're picking a career, we said, what is your passion? Do what comes naturally to you and be a well-rounded individual. Be someone who can sit and talk to a 5-year-old and play with a 5-year-old, but you can also sit with a grandmother or a grandfather and listen to their wisdom. Be well-rounded. I know these are a lot of tips, bear with me, but I think they're important. Start living and acting like the you want to be. So like I said, if you want to be a leading farmer, start acting like a farmer, start already talking yields or start going to places where there are other farmers. Or if, for example, you want to be a business consultant, start dressing the part. Start investing your small little monies that you put aside for savings into buying your first suit or your first formal wear so that when you're a consultant, you're now used to dressing the part. So start living and acting like the you that you want to be. If you forget everything else I said, remember this. Pick an interest, learn as much as you can, and practice, practice, practice. People don't become experts overnight. I've said this already. People practice and practice. For myself to now be called an expert in data, it's been 4 years of me learning and practicing and practicing. So there's nothing that you can't learn if you don't put in the practice. People take years to learn things and then they become experts simply because they focused, they picked one thing, they learned as much as they could and they practiced. Okay. I love this quote by Michael Jordan. Some people want it to happen. Some people wish it would happen, but others make it happen. Be the person who makes it happen. Don't be the person who just waits for others to do things. Make it happen. So those are my tips for today. I put a shameless plug there. I have some YouTube videos. I have articles on LinkedIn. I've got content on SlideShare. So please check it out and see what else you can learn there. But at this stage, I will say thank you and I will open up the floor for questions. So if those who were going to help with the questions can do that now, go through the chat. Let's hear what questions you have.